Okay, so a couple of things before I talk about my M11-P. If you see jump cuts in this video, which you wouldn't normally see in my videos, it's because I'm coughing. I've been sick the last few weeks. I actually lost my voice at one point, which made a lot of people happy, but not me. I keep coughing, and so if I'm going to have one of these coughing attacks, I need to cut the video. So I do apologise about any jump cuts. Second, I have a couple of new items from Oberwerth, which they've sent me. So there will be a video on these two items very soon. And I have to say I'm very impressed with the quality of their products. I love their bag that they sent me a few months ago. So there will be a video on those two products from Oberwerth soon. Now this is my M11-P. And the reason why I'm doing this video is a few people have reached out to me and asked if it's still worth buying the M11-P now that the M11 is discontinued. Well, it's rumoured to be discontinued. I actually think it is discontinued. So the M11-P, the M11D, the gloss black paint M11, there's another one. Possibly could be another M11. There's so many of them are still available. I'll quickly go over the differences between the M11 and the M11-P. The most notable difference is the M11-P doesn't have the Leica red dot here. The M11 black and silver have the red dot. Now the M11-P has 256 gigs of internal storage. The M11 only has 64 gigs. I think it's worth the upgrade just for the extra storage. The rear screen on the M11-P is sapphire glass, and I think the M11 is just a toughened glass, so it will scratch easier. And I noticed earlier today, looking at my screen, I forgot to put a screen protector on this, so I will put one on later on today because I do have a spare one to put on there. The M11 comes in this really nice matte black paint. Yes, it is black paint. Somebody called me out on one of my videos and said it wasn't. On the Leica page, it's listed as black paint. And this also has content credentials built into the camera as well. If you want to find out about that, I'll put a link to it down below in the description. That's basically the differences. It's the same camera, but this has more improvements, and I do think it's worth the money for the more improvements. I do love the MP series. I have an MP black paint. I had the M10P before I had the M11P. I absolutely love that camera. The finish on the M10P was not as good. It scratched quite a bit, it did mark quite a bit. This doesn't, this has held up really well. This went to Japan 3 times last year, Taiwan twice, Hong Kong twice, and the UK. And this is what it took me most of the time. I did have a 28mm lens on my M11P, or when I was in Japan, the last couple of times I had this lens, which is the Light Lens Lab 35mm f2 8 element. I absolutely love this lens. It's incredible lens. It's so well made. It has such nice character, this lens. It's a replica of the original Leica 35mm f2 8 element. It's absolutely beautiful lens, and this lens has made me switch from 28mm to 35mm. So I have this 35mm f1.4 Summilux, the new close focusing version with the built-in hood, which is really nice. It's a little bit heavy, but it does balance really well on the M11P. Another thing about the M11P, the silver version has a brass top plate. This has an alloy or aluminium top plate, which makes the camera a little bit lighter, which you do notice, because especially with my MP, which is all brass. So this lens does balance quite well on there. I was quite surprised how well it balanced, because it is not the lightest 35mm M lens out there, but it's an absolute beautiful lens, and I do really like shooting this lens. I will have a review on this lens soon. I just haven't got around to it. But I will do a review on the Leica 35mm f1.4 Summilux close focusing version on my M11P, obviously. A couple of things that I've done to my M11P, or changed, I would say. I've put tape on the side here, just black tape, just to stop the neck strap or the wrist strap rubbing on the camera. I've changed the hot shoe cover. This is now metal. The one that came with the M11P was plastic, which I was a little bit disappointed about that, because the M10P came with an alloy hot shoe cover, the exact same one as this. So I've changed that. That's just for me, it's cosmetic, and I'm quite happy with that. So at the bottom of the camera, you have no plate. If I just show you on my, that's my, if I get on focus, that's my MP, which has this plate at the bottom, which is a film camera plate, which you have to take off to get the film out. Well, they replicated that up into the M10P. You have to take the plate off to get the battery and the memory card out. But now you just flick that and take the battery out, and you've got a memory card slot in there. So you do have a memory card slot, and you also have internal memory of 256 gigs. So you can shoot to both of them. So you got a backup with the 256 gigs internal, or you can do your RAWs to the internal, and you can do your JPEGs to the SD card. Depends on what you want to do. Almost forgot, there is a USB-C port on the bottom of the camera. That's one thing I don't like about the M11P. It's probably the only thing I don't like about the camera, is you have to stand the camera on its lens to charge via this port, or to take the images off the camera via USB-C cable. It's fine, it's not going to go anywhere, but it would have been nice if it was put somewhere else, which I'll talk about my idea about where you could put it a little bit later on. So that's my M11-P. It's held up incredibly well. The only damage it's got, or marks, or rubber wear, I guess, is on this part here around the shutter button. This is brass and it's wearing a little bit where my finger rests on it all the time. Everywhere else, it still looks like new. It's held up incredibly well, and I do use this camera all the time. I absolutely love using this camera. Now, some of the accessories that I've got for my M11-P is I do have spare battery, which I've never actually used. I can shoot 1 to 2 days with this battery that's in the camera, and I don't need this battery. But I always carry it with me, just in case. I have the EVF, which is here. Take that off, which is nice. The EVF goes on the camera. Take that hot shoe cover off. So the EVF just slides on like that. Now the nice thing is you can't see it in this video, but the EVF doesn't rub on the camera body at all. It actually fits in the hot shoe, and there's a little gap around it, which is nice. And then you can obviously shoot down and up and everything else. I don't use this very often. I actually don't like using the EVF on this camera. I don't think it's very good quality for what they're charging, but it's handy to have, especially if you want to shoot wide open. It's nice to have that for the critical focus. Something that Leica do need to change, I've got to put this the right way around there, is this. This is a cover that goes on the bottom that protects the terminals. This is the worst fitting cover I've ever seen. Look, there's nothing to it. Look, it just slides off. You put it in your bag and it comes off. Even if you put it in the pouch that it comes with, 9 times out of 10 this is not there anymore. It's over somewhere else in the pouch. They do really need to improve that, especially when they're charging like nearly 1,500 New Zealand dollars for this EVF. That needs to be made a lot better. But again, it's handy having the EVF because, especially if you want to shoot wide open or you want to get that critical focus, it's really nice to have that. But like I said, I don't use it very often. And I also have the hand grip, which is quite nice because it goes on really well made. It is quite expensive for what it is, but it's Leica, and as we expect. So it's got an arc and Swiss plate on the bottom here, which is nice for a tripod, and the grip adds an extra bit of comfort to the camera. I don't like thumb grips here. I think they stick out too much. I don't like them. I like hand grips. Now, my idea for the USB-C port, they surely could put some terminals on the bottom of this camera and put the USB-C port in the side here. So you can have the USB-C port by buying the grip, which would be really nice because that would take it away from being at the bottom and you can just sit your camera like that because it stands really well on the grip. But I understand people do need access to that USB-C port. So let me talk about using my M11-P over the last couple of years. The first thing I want to talk about is the camera freezing up. Now, my camera did freeze up a couple of times when I first got it, but after a couple of firmware updates and changing my memory card to a Angelbird 256 gig V90 and recording all the images to the internal storage and the SD card, I've not had any problems with freezing up at all. It's not freezed up ever after those first couple of times and changing all those settings in a couple of firmware updates. So the M11-P has 60 megapixel sensor. I think it's 61 megapixels, so it has 60 megapixel files. Now it's a tri-resolution sensor, so you can shoot 18, 30 something and 60 megapixels. I solely shoot 60 megapixels. Never shot in lower resolutions. I don't see the point of that. I want to get the maximum out of that sensor and my lenses, and you can always crop. If you're shooting at 18 megapixels, you are going to save storage. I don't think it's going to save any editing time. It will save storage, but you could lose a shot because you can't crop into it. Because 60 megapixels is really nice if you want to reframe or recrop your image. The screen on the M11-P is probably the best screen of any camera I've used. It is nice and sharp and it's very contrasty. I find myself using this a lot more now. I used it in Ginza when I was shooting some photos on the streets with the shadows. I could focus and just stand there and wait for the person to walk into the frame. Sometimes I was waiting like 20 minutes, and it's really nice to use the rear screen. It's a nice screen to use. I don't mind using that. I would like it if it was a tilt screen. I know some people will get quite upset about that, but having a tilt screen on here would make it slightly thicker, but it would make the shooting experience a little bit better. I'd rather have the tilt screen than have an EVF. The rumored M11, whatever it's called, there's a new M11 due out in a couple of months on the rumor sites, will have an EVF and not an OVF or a rangefinder patch. Not sure about that for me. If it has both, like the Fuji X100 series, so you can have a screen slide over and you can go back to the OVF, that's great. That would be absolutely amazing, because using this EVF on the camera takes away from the experience of shooting a rangefinder. If they can incorporate that into an M camera, then I probably would switch to the newer M11 or the M12, what it is. But personally, I like looking through the optical viewfinder. I prefer that experience, and also like using the rear screen. It's just a really nice camera to use. It goes everywhere with me. It's been very reliable. Now that the rumours are out of the M12 coming out soon, what would you like to see improved on the M12 over the M11 and the M11P? For me, the only thing I really would like to see is a tilt screen. I know some of you are going to have like a bit of a problem with that, but a tilt screen would be nice, especially if you're lining up your shot and you keep the camera down low. Having that screen would be really nice. I don't mind if it makes the camera a little bit thicker. I do think the M12 is going to come with 1 terabyte internal storage. I hope they don't remove the memory card. I hope they keep the memory card in there as well as the 1 terabyte internal storage. That would be really nice. I don't know what else they can do to the M12 to improve over the M11. If you guys have any ideas on what you would like to see in the M12 over the M11, let me know down in the comment section. I'll be really interested to see what you guys think will be coming in the M12 and will be an improvement over the M11 and the M11P. So that's it for this video. It was just a quick video to talk about my M11P, get me back into shooting videos, because obviously I've been sick for a few weeks and haven't done any videos. There will be a video very soon on this amazing gear that Oberwerth has sent me. Absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to wait for that video. And obviously I've got other videos coming out very soon with this 35mm f1.4 Summilux. I have a film scanner down there which I bought in November from Japan, which I haven't opened still, which I've got to do a video on, so that's coming soon. And also I have a new printer which is sitting over there. It's an A2 printer, so I will do an unboxing and a review on that as well. So there's lots of videos coming now that I'm feeling better, and hopefully there weren't too many jump cuts in this video. So if you guys have any questions about my M11P or my shooting experience with the M11P, please let me know down in the comment section. And as always, thank you so much for watching.